Hello everyone, I am Rasmitadila. I am going to present my research. The title is Challenges in the Implementation of Instructional Strategy Model based on the Brain Natural Learning System for Inclusive Classroom. This is the background why we do the research. We have four backgrounds why we do the research. First, teachers do not understand the characteristic of students, especially special needs students. And the second, teachers still difficult to make lesson plan in the inclusive classroom. Third, the instructional time is difficult to manage in the inclusive classroom. And fourth, teachers still difficult to develop effective instructional method that can involve of student. So this is our background why we do the research. From the previous research, and from the background, we make or design the instructional strategy. We design of instructional strategy based on the Brain Natural Learning System in inclusive classroom. In the Brain Natural Learning System, it consists of 5 learning systems. That is emotional learning system, cognitive learning system, physical learning system, social learning system, and reflective learning system. 5 learning system. So we make a design instructional strategy and make into the 3 instructional activity in the initial of instructional activity, main of instructional activity, and the closing activity. For the first initial of instructional activity, we involve the emotional learning system, the activity that the teacher can make a class conditioning and then matching the relevant and benefit of the learning, especially to the student. For the main of instructional activity, teacher can make in the cognitive learning system the activity like a concept description of subject matter, and then for the physical learning system, the teacher can organizing concept in the form of physical activities. And the social learning system, teacher can carry out the activity individually in the group. So that is for the main of instructional activity. For the closing instructional activity, there is the reflective learning system. So the teacher can make how to make manifestation of concept with the meaningful activities and safe learning outcome, and provide the feedback to all the student. So for the right side, we can see that the learning system, the 5 learning system, we can make in the design for each of the activity relate to the stage of the instruction. So teacher can make activity in the emotional learning system as initial instructional activity. Teacher can choose the method and then media, learning materials, and the assessment. And of course, teacher can manage the time allocation for the age of the stages. So at the end of the instruction, teacher can make a reflection to instruction. What is the strength and what is the weaknesses, and revision to the next meetings, of course. So this is the design of instructional strategy based on the Brain Natural Learning System in inclusive classroom. And then how to make the research. For the methodology of research, the purpose, of course, we want to explore general teachers of the GT opinions on the challenge in the implementing instructional strategies based on the Brain Natural Learning System for inclusive classroom in the elementary school. And for the participant, we choose 5 participants. All of the participant is female, and they have teaching experiences between 5 until 20 years teaching experience, and the level of education is the bachelor. So we collect the data with the kind of the collection the data from the class observation and the semi-structured interview with the open-ended question conducted between the researcher and the GT. Before we do the research or the collect the data, we discuss together with the GT how many time or how many meeting that the GT can make the instruction. So we decide that the GT have to teach in the 3 meeting for 1.5 until 2 hours each of the meeting. And then all the time of observation, the researcher recorded all instructional activities, including recording the implementation of instruction. So the result of this observation is in the field note, and then we make a transcript according to the activities that had carried out between GT and the student. And then we did the interview using interview guide, of course. And then the instrument from the interview guide is a form of the implementing of instructional strategy based on the brain natural learning system. After we collect the data, we analyze the data with the inductive thematic analysis technique to explore the perception of each participant, GT, to produce an appropriate theme. We have 3 stages when we have to analyze the data. For the first stage, we make the codes, maybe keywords, representing participant statement are made so they don't overlap. So we have a code of the data from the transcript data, and then we continue to the second stage in the make categorization of the codes, of course, because a lot of the data we used application and Vivo. And at the end of the analysis, or the third stage, is make the major themes. So from the categorization, we choose or make a major theme. So after we analyze the data. After we analyze the data, we have 4 major themes. First, modification of teaching materials. Second, modification of instructional medias. Third, modification of instructional method. And fourth, time. So this is the major themes that we analyze from the data. The explanation of each of the themes. For the first, modification of teaching materials. Teachers need a long time creating teaching materials so that all students can use them, especially special needs students. Teachers still have limitation in making special teaching materials that also need special skills. Here, that teacher, because this is the first time to implement the instructional strategy based on the brain natural learning system, so teacher have much time to adopt the teaching materials into the instructional strategy. So they need a long time and, of course, special skill to make the teaching material available and can use the student, of course, in the instruction. For the modification of instructional medias, there are some difficult that teachers when they have to make a good quality in the medias, because school not really support for the facilities and infrastructure, both audio visual or maybe audio visual, and of course funding. That a limitation for the funding of each the school. So make the teacher difficult to create the good media and according to special needs student. So for another difficult is that relate to the competency of the teacher, that they have to have good in the technology that currently developing. So this is the difficulty of the modification of instructional media. Then to modification of instructional method is one of the difficulty of the teacher, because they have to make a different instructional media of each the stage in the 5 learning system, of course. So that teacher need a long time to complete a learning system, because each of the stage of the instructional activity, teacher have to use the different instructional method. So teacher have to spare time or maybe a long time to create the different instructional media. So this is need a long time to complete a learning system in each the stage of instructional activity. And for the time, the teacher must be able to divide time. So for the each activity, and sometimes it happen in the lack of instructional time. As we know that in the instructional classroom, there are 2 kind of the student, special needs student and the typical student. So because teacher have to make focus for the special student, sometimes for the typical student, it's a like time when the teacher have to divide the time for all of the students. So this is the major time, the major theme from our research. So, and then we make a, this is the conclusion from our research. First, challenge in implementing instructional strategies based on the brain natural learning system result from improving the instructional process in an inclusive classroom to make it more effective. DGT give an opinion about these instructional strategies when they compare them to instructional strategy that they always use in their instruction. They hope that the instructional strategies based on the brain natural learning system, they think it's more effective. The various challenges faced by GT must be overcome by GT in the future so that instruction in inclusive classroom is more varied and provides more meaningful learning to every student. Even though these instructional strategies for the GT, even in the first experience, but they think that this instructional strategy can provide the meaningful learning to every student, because the 5 instructional, 5 learning system can make the student have a meaningful learning. Each GT still needs more time and experience in implementing instructional strategies based on the brain natural learning system, and all instructional components must be designed and implemented according to the characteristic and type of SNS, so that the instructional strategies designed in their implementing can achieve instructional objective well. So this is our conclusion from our research, and I hope that our research can make a good or the positive impact to the educational research in the world. Thank you for your attention, and goodbye.